Consider the unsettling reality of an American professional who logs 40 demanding hours a week for 4 straight decades, earning an above-average salary, only to reach his 60th birthday and discover a near-zero balance in his retirement account. According to recent Federal Reserve data, nearly half of aging households face this exact financial void, staring at bank screens that reflect a lifetime of evaporated labor. This individual never set foot in a casino, never suffered a catastrophic business bankruptcy, and never fell victim to a sudden, devastating wire fraud scheme. Instead, he suffered a slow, methodical financial bleeding, acting as the unwitting victim of a quiet, incremental drain that siphoned his life savings away, one seemingly insignificant daily transaction at a time. This vanishing act is not an isolated incident, but a highly engineered, quiet system that extracts wealth from over 160 million American workers every single day. It operates in plain sight within our modern economy, systematically diverting trillions of dollars from middle-class savings accounts directly into the profit margins of massive consumer corporations. The unsettling truth behind this missing money points directly to a behavioral economics phenomenon known formally as lifestyle inflation, or more commonly, lifestyle creep. It is an unseen financial predator that dictates a simple, devastating rule. As your personal income steadily rises over the course of your career, your discretionary spending will automatically expand to consume every single new dollar. It operates like a persistent shadow following your career trajectory, expanding its footprint the exact moment human resources approves your annual salary increase. Before that extra cash can ever reach a high-yield savings account or an index fund, this mechanism intercepts the surplus, quietly absorbing your hard-earned promotion into new monthly subscriptions, upgraded vehicle leases, and elevated daily conveniences. Examine the psychological turning point when a professional finally secures a 20% pay raise at their firm, triggering an immediate, overwhelming sense of financial safety. For a brief window, they genuinely believe they are permanently stepping out of the exhausting paycheck-to-paycheck struggle that defines the modern middle class, assuming their new tax bracket guarantees long-term stability. However, this perceived safety is an intricate behavioral trap because the newly acquired capital is rarely deployed to purchase true financial freedom or equity. Instead, it merely finances a slightly more luxurious crossover SUV with a 7-year loan term, a more expensive apartment lease, and a significantly larger credit card statement that demands payment on the first of every month. Look closely at the forensic trail of your own financial history and consider the aftermath of receiving a $5,000 year-end performance bonus. It is a common, deeply unsettling experience to check your bank ledger just 30 days after that deposit clears, only to find the balance has returned to its baseline, leaving you completely baffled about where the surplus vanished. This specific phenomenon is a deeply personal mystery that haunts almost 90% of wage earners, leaving them staring blankly at digital banking screens late at night. They attempt to audit their own spending, desperately trying to trace the fragmented, ghostly steps of their hard-earned cash as it fractured into dozens of minor, unmemorable digital transactions that leave no physical trace. That sinking physiological response in your stomach when the money inexplicably disappears is the primary indicator that the relentless cycle of lifestyle inflation has compromised your household. It is the exact moment you realize that your increased earning power has been completely neutralized by an equally aggressive, almost subconscious expansion of your baseline living expenses. The most compelling aspect of this economic investigation is why highly educated, analytically minded individuals fall directly into this exact same consumption trap. We are not just talking about impulsive shoppers. Data shows that engineers, corporate strategists, and even financial sector employees routinely fail to capture the wealth generated by their own rising incomes. It is a documented reality that high-earning surgeons, veteran educators, and successful master builders all hemorrhage their potential net worth through the exact same behavioral patterns. This universal vulnerability proves that lifestyle creep does not target financial literacy, but rather exploits a deeply ingrained psychological flaw known as the hedonic treadmill, where human desires constantly recalibrate to match available resources. This universal human tendency to rapidly adapt to luxury is precisely what the modern retail and technology sectors have weaponized to extract capital directly from your accounts. Multi-billion-dollar marketing algorithms and consumer platforms are specifically engineered to identify this psychological blind spot, presenting constant upgrade opportunities the moment their data indicates you have additional disposable income. The primary mechanism utilized to accelerate this wealth extraction is an insidious retail concept known as frictionless spending. This design philosophy focuses entirely on removing every single barrier between your impulse and your bank account, streamlining the checkout process so ruthlessly that consumers can authorize payments without engaging the critical, analytical centers of their brains. It is an economic weapon perfectly calibrated to bypass the brain's natural financial defense mechanisms, specifically the friction that usually triggers second thoughts. By utilizing saved credit card profiles and biometric authentications, the system ensures your money is transferred in milliseconds, finalizing the transaction long before your prefrontal cortex can logically evaluate if you actually need the item. A profound sense of vulnerability emerges when financial researchers compare our current digital consumption habits to historical purchasing methods, specifically an era when acquiring goods triggered a psychological response known as the pain of paying. In previous decades, the physical act of surrendering resources created a tangible emotional friction that naturally regulated consumer behavior and protected personal savings. Consumers once had to manually withdraw funds, count out physical paper currency, and physically feel the loss of those tangible assets slipping from their hands at a cash register. Today, that healthy, protective psychological pain has been entirely eradicated by the financial technology sector, replaced by the dangerous anesthetic ease of waving a smartphone over a contactless terminal. That seemingly innocent, painless tap of a glass screen represents the final, decisive action in a long chain of systemic wealth destruction. It is the ultimate trapdoor that quietly siphons away your surplus capital, ensuring that despite decades of hard work and rising salaries, you remain perpetually locked out of your own long-term financial independence. The creators of modern shopping knew they had to remove every roadblock standing between your impulses and your bank account. Silicon Valley engineers and behavioral economists watched how we act and found that even a 3-second delay makes us rethink a choice. So, they systematically tore down the physical stop signs that used to protect our money, replacing them with frictionless pathways to instant gratification. There is no standing in a long line anymore to weigh the value of a purchase. There is no digging for bills or counting out change, actions that once forced us to acknowledge what we were giving up. With a single silent tap on a glowing screen or a quick biometric scan of your face, the money is gone before your brain can even ask if you really need the item. That simple tap completely bypasses our natural neurological defenses, leaving our wallets entirely exposed to predatory design. When we do not physically hand over paper cash, the pain centers in our human brain remain totally dormant. This deliberate design flaw allows us to bleed away our net worth without feeling a single sting of financial loss. This engineered ease of spending hides a much darker truth about how we are being played by the modern retail machine. We are no longer just buying the essential things we need to live or function in society. We are actually buying tiny, quick hits of happiness, using digital marketplaces to regulate our emotions and mask our daily anxieties. Our glowing screens have successfully turned ordinary shopping into a highly addictive drug, carefully calibrated to exploit our neurochemistry. The real thrill is no longer the physical item itself, but the intense rush we feel knowing a package is currently on its way. That chemical rush of anticipatory dopamine in our heads keeps us coming back for more, trapping us in a relentless cycle of craving and clicking. Behind these seemingly harmless screens, unseen experts study our minds using advanced heat mapping software and massive troves of consumer data. They spend their days looking for our deepest human weaknesses, analyzing exactly where our eyes linger and when our willpower falters. They want to know exactly what specific triggers make us break our own financial rules in the middle of the night. They design digital storefronts and payment apps that ping with bright colors and reward us with flashing lights the moment we spend. These hidden forces are built to control our choices through gamification, mimicking the flashing screens of a casino slot machine. They are engineered to make us feel incredibly good right at the exact moment we are actively emptying our bank accounts. These carefully crafted moments of instant joy effectively blind us to the massive amounts of wealth we are losing over time. While we are distracted by digital confetti celebrating a successful transaction, the foundation of our financial independence is being quietly dismantled, leaving us with nothing but a pile of rapidly depreciating consumer goods. It brings up a deeply unsettling question about our own lives and the autonomy we believe we possess. When we stare into the carefully curated glow of a personalized shopping app surrounded by algorithms that know our desires better than our own families do, how much free will do we actually have left to resist the urge to buy? Our old brains were built to survive in the dangerous wild of the Pleistocene era, not to fight off giant computers armed with artificial intelligence. We are fighting an unseen, asymmetrical war against machines built specifically to trick us into parting with our resources, leaving us with a heavy sense of dread when the monthly credit card statement finally arrives. Against such powerful tools backed by billions of dollars in corporate research, our defenseless minds give up our hard-earned cash without a fair fight. We are outmatched by an environment that has been optimized for endless consumption, where every digital interaction is a carefully laid trap designed to separate us from our future security. But the most chilling part of this modern financial mystery lies in a totally different corner of the digital world. Corporate boards and technology companies soon realized that selling you something just once was simply not enough to satisfy their endless demand for growth. They wanted more of your income, and they wanted it guaranteed on a permanent basis. They built secret tunnels directly into your checking account, designed to pull out money every single month using pre-authorized digital transfers. This is the subscription trap, a quiet and constant drain on your liquidity that never sleeps, never takes a holiday, and crucially, never asks for your explicit permission ever again once the initial connection is made. This trap relies on a tragic human flaw regarding memory and optimism that lives inside all of us. We sign up for something new, feeling excited about the person we plan to become, and then we simply forget the service even exists. We drastically underestimate our recurring charges, allowing silent leeches to attach themselves to our financial lifeblood. Millions of people are paying $50 or $100 every single month for a fitness gym they never actually visit. They pay for premium movie apps they never watch, obscure software tools they never open, and high-fidelity music they never hear. The compounding weight of these forgotten choices slowly and systematically crushes their financial future under a mountain of invisible fees. That simple, seemingly harmless act of setting up an automatic payment and completely forgetting about it creates a silent leak that ultimately sinks the whole ship. By the time an average consumer finally notices the steady hemorrhage of funds, thousands of dollars have already been permanently transferred from their personal savings into massive corporate treasuries. The mathematical reality behind this slow, persistent drain is truly terrifying when viewed over a timeline of decades. You might think a recurring fee of $5 a month cannot possibly hurt your long-term goals, but that is exactly the illusion these predatory companies want you to believe. They know that small numbers evade our natural financial radar. Our brains are biologically wired to ignore small, slow-moving threats in our environment. The companies price these subscription traps just low enough that you do not panic or take the time to cancel them. This clever psychological trick masks the true danger of compounding opportunity cost, letting them slowly steal your wealth one tiny, unnoticed piece at a time. Take a single $10 monthly fee. It seems harmless, hiding quietly on a bank statement beneath groceries and gas. But multiply that shadow by 12 months and then multiply it by 10 years. That harmless little charge, compounding with inflation and lost investment potential, has just stolen over $1,200 from your future net worth. Now add the music app you never use, the extra streaming channel you watched once in October, the premium food delivery service, and the 2 terabytes of cloud storage you completely forgot about. The math turns brutal when aggregated. Thousands of dollars vanish into thin air annually. It is a chilling moment when you realize you are bleeding wealth, one tiny automated cut at a time. That terrifying sum is just the beginning of the vanishing act. Financial analysts from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau note that subscription fatigue is merely the visible tip of a massive iceberg of automated spending. The true danger lies in how these frictionless transactions fundamentally rewire our perception of money, detaching the pain of payment from the act of consumption. Close your eyes and picture your own bank account right now. Think about what happens in the dark while you are fast asleep. Digital hands reach into your ledger, pulling out $5 here, $15 there, silently taking your hard-earned money before you even wake up. There is no physical cash changing hands, no receipt to sign, and no moment of hesitation. Count them in your mind. The premium gym pass for a facility you have not visited since January. The speed reading app, the specialized photo editing software you used once last year for a single project. It feels deeply unsettling to realize your wallet is permanently wide open to the world, draining away your financial security without you ever lifting a finger. These silent leaks prepare the ground for a much larger, more dangerous shift in how we spend our remaining capital. Behavioral economists refer to this psychological softening as the gateway to lifestyle creep, a phenomenon where our standard of living artificially inflates to consume every available cent of our rising income, leaving our actual net worth completely stagnant. It always starts with a single, innocent choice. You get a small 3% raise at work, or an end-of-year bonus you did not expect. The next time you go to the grocery store, you pass by the cheap store brand cereal you have eaten for years and reach for the expensive name brand, assuming your new salary can easily absorb the blow. Then comes the mobile phone. Your old device works perfectly fine, but you sign a new 36-month contract for the shiny, upgraded model with the better titanium camera. Step by step, the extra money you just earned is swallowed up by slightly nicer things. Your annual income went up by $5,000, but your measurable wealth stayed exactly the same. This slow, creeping upgrade traps you before you even notice the change in your financial trajectory. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York tracks this exact pattern, noting that household debt frequently rises in lockstep with wage increases. The trap is invisible because each individual upgrade feels completely justified, masking the devastating cumulative effect on your long-term financial independence. Here lies a profound human mystery. Why does a rare luxury turn into a basic daily need so fast? We adapt to comfort with unsettling speed, a psychological mechanism known as hedonic adaptation. The $6 artisan coffee that used to be a special Friday treat suddenly becomes a rigid baseline, something you must have every single morning just to function at your desk. Once you step up to that new elevated level of comfort, looking down is terrifying. Going back to the old, cheaper way of living no longer feels like a strategic choice for saving money. It feels like a painful failure, a public step backward in life that your ego and your pride simply will not allow you to accept, no matter what the math says. That deep-seated fear of stepping backward forces us to invent elaborate psychological reasons to keep spending beyond our means. We craft complex internal narratives to justify our bloated budgets, convincing ourselves that these expensive habits are crucial investments in our mental health, our professional image, or our overall well-being, rather than acknowledging them as the financial liabilities they truly are. Picture a tired warehouse worker driving home after a brutal 14-hour double shift on a Tuesday night. The streetlights blur against the windshield as severe physical exhaustion sets in. They pull up to an expensive takeout restaurant, bypass the cheaper grocery store entirely, and whisper 5 dangerous, wealth-destroying words. "I work hard. I deserve this. It is deeply tragic." We completely understand their crushing fatigue and their desperate need for a brief moment of comfort, but that exact phrase acts as a hidden trapdoor. By using their hard work to justify throwing away their money on a marked-up meal, they mathematically ensure they will have to keep working those brutal shifts forever, trapped in a relentless cycle of earning and burning. The outside world plays a dark, influential role in this financial saga. Friends, family, and neighbors constantly pull us into their own unexamined spending habits. There are silent, unspoken rules in every social circle and corporate office that dictate exactly how much money you are supposed to burn to maintain your status, creating an invisible tax on your mere existence in that group. If your colleagues decide to meet at an expensive downtown restaurant for lunch, you go too, just to belong to the team. If your neighbor buys a brand new luxury sport utility vehicle, the perfectly reliable 5-year-old sedan in your driveway suddenly feels like a badge of shame. The pressure cooks around you, pushing you to spend money you do not have just to keep your place in the pack. This desperate race to match the group leads to a shocking betrayal of objective reality. Sociologists studying consumer behavior have found that competitive spending forces individuals to abandon their own long-term goals in favor of short-term social survival. We stop looking at our own bank balances and start looking exclusively at what the people next door are displaying on their driveways and social media feeds. The chilling truth hides right next door, behind those perfectly manicured lawns. The neighbors you are trying so hard to copy are likely drowning in a sea of hidden credit card debt themselves. You are sacrificing your real financial future to match a carefully curated illusion, playing a dangerous game where everyone is secretly losing sleep over the very lifestyle they are pretending to afford. You look next door and see a perfect life, but it is a grand illusion built entirely on leverage. The chilling truth is that those neighbors you try so hard to copy are likely drowning in consumer debt themselves. According to Federal Reserve data, the average household carries over $100,000 in liabilities. Everyone is putting on a show, pretending to have money they do not actually own. That desperate race to keep up with a fake image only leads to an empty bank account and a maxed-out credit limit. Families are quietly draining their home equity lines of credit and taking on high-interest personal loans just to fund luxury vacations and designer wardrobes. The pursuit of status creates a permanent cycle of borrowing. There is a massive difference between looking rich and actually being financially independent. Real wealth is completely silent and remarkably boring. It is just money sitting quietly in a Vanguard index fund or building equity in a modest, paid-off home, entirely unseen by anyone else. True millionaires rarely wear luxury logos or drive exotic sports cars. Fake wealth, on the other hand, is incredibly loud and heavily financed. It is the shiny, brand-new luxury vehicle bought with a massive 84-month auto loan that takes years of grueling labor to pay off. The deep desire to project an image of success to absolute strangers is exactly the trap that keeps high-income earners perpetually poor. Picture the heavy glass doors of a car dealership closing behind you as you drive a brand new vehicle off the lot. For one brief moment, you feel a deep sense of pride and success. The smell of fresh leather and the gleam of perfectly clean paint make you feel like you have finally conquered the financial ladder. But that feeling fades quickly, replaced by a dark cloud of obligation that follows you home. Every single month, the crushing weight of an $800 payment drains your checking account before you can even buy groceries or pay utility bills. You are trapped in a metal box that takes a huge bite out of your net income for the next 7 years. That shiny new machine quickly transforms from a symbol of pride into a heavy financial anchor holding you down. Because vehicles are depreciating assets, that car loses 20% of its value the moment its tires hit the public street, instantly trapping you in an underwater loan where you owe the bank more than the asset is worth. This single choice starts a devastating chain reaction that ruins your future borrowing power. That huge monthly payment secretly destroys your debt-to-income ratio, effectively killing your chance to ever qualify for a mortgage. Every dollar sent to the automotive financing company is a dollar permanently stolen from your future down payment on a piece of real estate. The simple, brutal math shows how one shiny car can easily eat an entire house. If you invested that $800 a month into a stock market index fund instead of a vehicle, it would grow into hundreds of thousands of dollars over a decade. You sacrifice a safe place to live and a peaceful old age, all for a ride that loses value the second you start the engine. The hidden cost of that financed vehicle is the permanent loss of your own front door. By choosing rolling metal over solid ground, you forfeit the historical wealth accumulation that comes from property appreciation and fixed-rate mortgages. You sentence yourself to a lifetime of rising rent payments just to maintain the illusion of wealth in the driveway. But the most chilling loss of all is not the money, but the time required to service that debt. You can always work hard to earn back a lost dollar, but the thousands of labor hours you spend paying off bad consumer loans are gone forever. You can never get those days back from your employer. There is a profound sadness in trading the absolute best years of your physical health just to pay off high-interest bills. You are working long, exhausting hours to pay for a piece of metal that is slowly turning to rust in your driveway. Your precious time on earth is slipping away, traded for depreciating consumer goods you do not really need. This brings us to a critical piece of evidence in the mystery of missing money, known in economics as opportunity cost. Think of it as the ghost of what your wealth could have been under different circumstances. It is the hidden, compounding price tag attached to every single choice you make with your liquid cash. When you spend $1 on a quick, fleeting thrill, you are not just losing that $1 today. Because of the mathematical power of compound interest, you are also killing the chance for that dollar to grow into $10 over the next few decades. You are wiping out the entire financial fortress that money could have built for you. Every choice to spend right now is a heavy choice to destroy what that money could become later. A series of seemingly harmless daily transactions quietly compounds into a massive wealth deficit over a 30-year career. The frictionless nature of modern spending ensures you never feel the long-term damage until it is far too late to correct course. This reveals a heavy, unsettling truth about our daily habits in a digital economy. A $20 impulse buy at the store, triggered by a targeted advertisement, is never just $20. It is a piece of your future freedom, traded away for a tiny dopamine hit and a moment of joy that you will completely forget by tomorrow morning. The chilling reality is that you are actually stealing from your older, weaker self. Every time you tap your card for something useless, you are taking comfort, medical care, and housing safety away from the vulnerable person you will become in 30 years. You are leaving your future self to face a cold, hard economy with absolutely nothing in reserve. The small leaks in your wallet today become the massive empty holes in your retirement account tomorrow. By prioritizing immediate gratification and social status over disciplined saving, you guarantee a future where you can never stop working. The ultimate price of lifestyle creep is the total surrender of your independence to the endless demands of consumer debt. The damage of a single lost dollar does not stop at just $1. The financial bleeding multiplies in the dark through the mathematical law of compound interest. When you save capital in a standard index fund, it acts like a seed planted in fertile soil, growing larger and significantly stronger year after year. That compounding mechanism is exactly how generational wealth is built, accumulating slowly and quietly over decades of disciplined holding. But modern frictionless spending works like a mechanical predator swooping down to steal those financial seeds before they can ever sprout in the market. Every quick tap of your phone and every late-night impulse click permanently removes another critical seed from your portfolio. Over a 30-year timeline, that daily habit of small digital spending leaves behind a massive empty financial crater where a towering tree of wealth should have organically grown. Investigators analyzing this wealth destruction always look at who is actually getting hurt by this missing capital. It is certainly not the person you are today, enjoying that quick dopamine thrill of a freshly delivered package. The true victim of this continuous financial drain is the older, much weaker version of yourself waiting quietly at the end of a long working life. Imagine the crushing psychological devastation of working hard for 50 grueling years, only to wake up at age 65 and realize you have absolutely zero liquid assets left to show for it. All those thousands of hours on the clock completely erased from the ledger, and your retirement was not stolen by a masked bank robber, but silently drained away by 80,000 tiny, entirely forgotten taps on a glowing screen. That vulnerable older version of you is ultimately left holding an empty bank account, forced to survive on meager government subsidies while paying the ultimate price for the modern financial sector's favorite weapon. The consequence of lifestyle creep is a permanent state of poverty during the very years you are physically unable to generate new income to replace what was lost. To understand how this perfect financial crime happens so easily and legally, forensic accountants have to look closely at the weapon itself. The modern crime scene is located right inside your pocket, glowing brightly in the palm of your hand. The contemporary smartphone has rapidly become the ultimate corporate tool for making your hard-earned cash disappear into corporate treasuries without leaving a single physical trace. Digital wallets like Apple Pay and Google Pay were carefully designed by elite behavioral economists to completely erase the natural human pain of spending. By linking your primary checking account directly to a smooth piece of glass, software engineers systematically removed all physical friction from the transaction. The currency instantly stops feeling real, mutating into nothing more than invisible data points floating through a wireless server. Because the digital currency feels completely disconnected from your physical labor, those invisible numbers in your banking app can drop to absolute zero before you even register that the funds are gone. The abstraction of wealth into a mere pixelated interface blinds the consumer to the severe reality of their dwindling net worth until the monthly statement finally arrives in their inbox. There is a well-documented psychological phenomenon tied directly to the exchange of physical money. When you hold a crisp $50 bill and physically hand it over to a retail cashier, the insula in your brain actually registers a sharp, quantifiable feeling of neurological distress. You can literally watch the asset leave your hand, and human biology ensures it hurts just a little bit to let that security go. But simply typing a 4-digit passcode or double-clicking a side button to transfer that exact same $50 feels like absolutely nothing to your nervous system. Silicon Valley tech companies discovered this chilling glitch in our human biology over a decade ago. They quickly realized that if they eliminate the physical paper currency, they simultaneously eliminate the psychological pain of paying, leaving consumers totally defenseless against impulse purchases. This engineered lack of psychological defense is exactly what global e-commerce applications count on to slowly bleed your savings accounts dry. These sophisticated programs are not just simple digital catalogs displayed on a screen. They are architected using the exact same behavioral psychology principles as the flashing slot machines you would find in the darkest, most disorienting corners of a noisy Las Vegas casino. Every single pixel and notification sound is ruthlessly designed to trap you in a continuous loop of instant gratification. The bright red clearance colors, the flashing promotional banners, and the rapidly ticking countdown timers artificially manufacture a false sense of extreme panic. These interface tricks bypass your logical reasoning, aggressively convincing your brain that you must submit your payment right now, or you will lose out on a life-changing bargain forever. Caught hopelessly in that flashing digital trap, you willingly hand over your long-term future wealth in exchange for a remarkably cheap dopamine thrill that completely fades by the very next morning. The item arrives in a cardboard box, the momentary excitement evaporates, and you are left staring at another piece of plastic while your retirement account remains critically underfunded and vulnerable. But the modern e-commerce trap is vastly smarter than a simple casino game, primarily because this digital casino is actively watching your behavior every single second of the day. The targeted advertisements populating your social media feeds seem to read your mind, utilizing massive data sets to show you exactly what product you desire before you even consciously realize you are looking to make a purchase. This is the deeply chilling truth of modern consumer spending in a hyper-connected society. We are constantly being monitored by silent machine learning algorithms that meticulously track our saddest days, our most exhausted late-night scrolling sessions, and our absolute weakest emotional moments. Every hesitation over a product image and every late-night search query is logged, categorized, and weaponized against our financial stability. Those silent algorithmic watchers wait patiently in the hidden shadows of the internet, processing millions of data points to perfectly time their commercial strike exactly when our cognitive defenses are at their lowest. They know precisely when you receive your direct deposit. They know when you are feeling stressed, and they deploy highly specific advertisements designed to exploit those exact vulnerabilities for maximum corporate profit. Think about a specific time you simply talked out loud to a friend about wanting a new pair of running shoes or a specialized power tool. Then, just a few short hours later, That exact branded item suddenly appeared in a sponsored advertisement on your screen. It is a deeply unsettling, invasive feeling, exactly as if a corporate stranger is standing right behind you in the private sanctuary of your own home. That is the terrifying financial reality of the cellular device you willingly carry in your pocket everywhere you go. It is constantly harvesting location data, endlessly learning your most intimate purchasing habits, and always waiting for the perfect psychological second to make you tap the glass screen and willingly give your crucial investment capital away to a retail giant. That strange feeling of being watched by your own phone never really fades because the device is constantly harvesting behavioral data to map your specific vulnerabilities. Retailers track how long you linger on certain images, measuring your hesitation and desire in milliseconds to build a psychological profile designed to completely break down your financial discipline. The true danger strikes long after the sun goes down and daily distractions fade away. When midnight hits, your house is quiet, but the screens in your hands remain wide awake and highly active. This is the prime time for wealth destruction. The glowing light of a shopping application acts like an open door to a thief, but the thief is just your own tired mind operating under the influence of targeted algorithms. During the day, you can easily say no to buying things you do not need because your cognitive defenses are fully rested. But by 1 in the morning, your brain is severely worn out from making hundreds of choices all day long. Your willpower is completely gone, suffering from a documented psychological condition called decision fatigue. The digital commerce system knows this biological reality, waiting in the dark for the exact moment you are too weak to fight back against the sudden urge to buy. In that lonely hour, clicking the buy button feels like a tiny spark of warmth in the dark, delivering a sudden rush of dopamine that briefly masks your exhaustion. Retail engineers specifically design these late-night interactions to mimic a comforting embrace, using soft animations and frictionless interfaces to make the act of spending money feel like an act of deep self-care. You drag yourself home after a long, hard shift where you traded your physical and mental health for a paycheck. Your body aches and your mind feels heavy like lead from dealing with endless demands. You gave all your vital energy to your job, leaving absolutely nothing in reserve for yourself. In that deep state of total drain, buying a small treat does not feel like a financial choice at all. It feels like a desperate rescue mission to reclaim your humanity. This is the cruelest trap of all inside the modern consumer economy. You work incredibly long hours to earn money, which inevitably makes you feel empty, stressed, and profoundly tired. Then you spend that exact same money just to feel a brief flash of joy and temporary relief. You are running on a brutal treadmill that never stops, trading your hard work for disposable things that only make the wheels spin faster and demand even more of your labor. The artificial glow of the phone screen lights up a tired face in the darkness, casting long shadows of a psychological cycle that traps millions of working adults. This silent, glowing rectangle becomes a dangerous portal where future security is routinely traded for present comfort, bleeding away wealth in small, unnoticeable drops while the rest of the world is fast asleep. Then the sun comes up and a strange chemical shift happens in your rested mind. The powerful magic of the midnight purchase simply vanishes in the cold, harsh morning light. The expensive item you urgently ordered just hours ago now seems completely useless and entirely unnecessary. You look at the digital receipt on your screen and wonder who actually bought it, feeling entirely disconnected from the exhausted person who clicked purchase. A heavy, sinking feeling settles deep in your chest as the morning reality sets in. It is the dark realization that you completely lost control while you were barely awake and highly vulnerable. That hard-earned money is gone forever, slipping right through your fingers while you were simply too tired to close your hand. The regret tastes incredibly bitter, leaving a cold trail of financial shame that follows you all day and poisons your mood. You silently delete the email receipt, trying desperately to hide the digital evidence of your own mistake from yourself. Archiving that notification is an act of psychological denial, a quick attempt to bury the crime scene so you do not have to face the long-term damage you just inflicted on your own financial future during a moment of weakness. This behavioral pattern brings us to a chilling truth that changes everything you think you know about money and personal responsibility. The modern digital world is not a safe place for your wallet or your future. It is a massive, silent machine built with one single ruthless purpose. That purpose is to drain your wealth before you even notice the capital is missing. Your continuous struggle to save money is not a personal failure or a flaw in your character. It is not because you are bad at math or weak in spirit. It is the exact planned outcome of a technological system that studies your every move and measures your psychological breaking points. You are fighting an invisible war against giant corporations that spend billions of dollars figuring out exactly how to make you lose. These multi-billion-dollar companies do not just sit back and hope you make a random mistake. They build their entire business models on the mathematical certainty that you will eventually fail. A forgotten monthly charge for a streaming television show you never watch is not a harmless accident. It is a calculated trap set carefully in the tall grass, waiting patiently for you to walk by and forget it is secretly draining your bank account. Late fees and credit card interest charges work the exact same way within the banking industry. The system makes the rules and payment schedules confusing on purpose to maximize their profit margins. They desperately want you to miss a payment date. They want you to carry a revolving balance at a high APR. Your simple human errors are weaponized and turned into rivers of pure cash that flow straight into their corporate vaults. Hidden deep in the dense fine print of every digital user agreement, the financial trap sits silently, waiting to spring shut on unsuspecting consumers. The legal jargon is deliberately written to be completely unreadable to the average person, ensuring you sign away your rights to dispute unfair charges or cancel automatic renewals without fighting through a maze of corporate bureaucracy. The primary bait they use to lead you directly into this trap is a word we all culturally love and constantly demand. That word is convenience. It was aggressively sold to us as a beautiful gift, a technological magic trick designed to make our hard, busy lives so much easier to manage. They told us we would never have to wait in a long grocery line or carry heavy metal coins in our pockets ever again. But the fundamental trade we made for that comfort was deeply tragic and financially devastating. We blindly handed over the keys to our financial safety just to save a few seconds at a glowing checkout screen. We traded our future wealth and long-term security for the fast, easy thrill of clicking a single button. The easier the technology makes it to pay, the faster your hard-earned money runs away from your control. Every saved credit card number stored in your web browser is just a smooth, greased track leading straight down into a dark hole of permanent debt. By removing the physical pain of handing over cash, the digital economy has transformed spending from a conscious sacrifice into an automatic reflex, ensuring your bank account stays empty while corporate profits reach record highs. The word convenience is used as a clever mask by retail giants to hide a dark financial truth. When an online store asks to save your credit card data for next time, they are not doing you a favor or trying to be helpful. They are engineering a psychological trap designed to make taking your money faster, easier, and completely automatic. Every saved password, biometric scan, and one-click purchasing button acts as grease on the wheels of your own financial ruin. Retailers systematically remove the vital milliseconds of doubt that might otherwise stop you from finalizing a transaction. You are being rushed through the digital checkout process before your brain can even process the cost or ask if you actually need the item. This weaponized speed turns every passing thought, late-night craving, and momentary lapse in judgment into an immediate, irreversible purchase. Corporate developers have successfully collapsed the crucial window between a fleeting desire and a finalized bank transfer, ensuring your hard-earned wealth drains away before your rational mind can ever intervene. Then comes the stark, grim moment when the consumer fog finally lifts. Imagine sitting down with a calculator and adding up 10 long years of tiny, mindless digital buys and slow, creeping lifestyle inflation. The final cumulative number is not just surprising, it is deeply chilling to the bone, representing decades of stolen financial security. You realize that hundreds of thousands of dollars have simply vanished into thin air over the course of a single decade. This fortune was not stolen by a masked thief in the night, but quietly drained away by your own smartphone and your unmonitored daily habits. The accumulated wealth that could have bought your early retirement is just gone. That massive pile of lost money leaves behind a heavy, crushing silence in its wake. The realization that you willingly handed over the keys to your financial independence for the sake of momentary convenience creates a profound sense of grief, echoing through the empty spaces of your bank accounts. You are left to ponder a haunting question as you look around your crowded home. Where did all that capital actually go? You see a living space packed with discarded shipping boxes, obsolete electronics, and unworn clothing, yet absolutely none of this accumulated plastic and fabric brought you any real, lasting psychological joy. It is a quiet, shared human tragedy that plays out behind millions of closed doors every single day. We suddenly realize exactly how easily we were tricked into trading our long-term future security for cheap dopamine thrills that we entirely forgot about by the next morning. The dark, undeniable truth is that we financed and purchased our own chains. Fighting back against this invisible algorithm-driven enemy requires a grueling, deeply painful psychological process. The very first step of a personal financial audit is always the hardest, because it forces you to step out of the comfortable dark and expose the hidden truth of your spending. You have to stop hiding from your own daily consumer choices. You must sit down at a table and look closely at every single line item on your bank statements from the past 12 months. You have to shine a bright, harsh investigative light on every single dollar that silently left your checking account. There is no more optimistic guessing allowed, only the cold, hard transaction data printed on the paper. This brutal, unsparing review of your own financial history is the absolute only way to break the hypnotic spell of the endless consumer spending loop. By forcing yourself to confront the sheer volume of wasted capital, you begin to dismantle the psychological conditioning that tech companies spent billions of dollars to install in your brain. Looking directly at those compounded numbers brings a sudden wave of sheer terror and deep, visceral shame. It physically hurts to see the undeniable truth of our own impulsive weakness laid bare in black and white ink. Every quick coffee purchase, subscription fee, and late-night digital buy stares right back at you from the ledger, openly mocking your life goals. You feel exactly like a homicide detective walking into a grim financial crime scene, only to discover your own fingerprints covering the murder weapon. You are violently forced to track the messy, undeniable trail of your own bad economic choices. The forensic evidence of your lost future is piled up right there in plain sight on the dining room table. The sharp, burning sting of that harsh reality is exactly the catalyst you need to finally wake up from your consumer coma. Accepting the full weight of your past financial mistakes is the required toll you must pay to cross over into a life of deliberate, conscious wealth building. The only known cure to this quiet, continuous drain is a rigorous practice called mindful spending. It is a simple behavioral concept that acts exactly like putting giant, unavoidable stop signs back up on a dangerously fast digital highway. You intentionally force your brain to fully wake up, evaluate the purchase, and pay strict attention before a single dollar moves. You create a strict, uncompromising plan for your capital, deciding exactly where every single cent will be deployed before the month even begins. This proactive budget becomes your primary defensive shield against the constant psychological attacks from targeted advertising and easy payment applications. Every single purchase becomes a calculated, real choice once again, rather than a mindless muscular reflex. Taking back absolute control of those daily choices brings a sudden, incredibly powerful sense of emotional relief. The heavy anxiety that used to surround your bank accounts begins to evaporate the moment you transition from being a passive victim of corporate marketing algorithms to becoming the active, deliberate director of your own wealth. To permanently protect your growing wealth, you must embrace a shocking and completely backward modern solution. You actually have to make your own life significantly harder on purpose. You must ruthlessly delete every saved credit card from your digital wallets, remove your banking details from retail websites, and cancel the automatic payment systems that make draining your accounts entirely too easy. The answer to all this silent theft is a shocking one. You have to intentionally make your daily life harder. To save your money, you must break the smooth, frictionless systems engineered specifically to take it from you. This means deleting every saved credit card from your phone, your digital wallets, and your computer browsers. It means turning off the automatic payment subscriptions that deliberately hide your real financial choices in the dark. You have to force yourself to physically pull out your physical wallet and type in those 16 credit card numbers, the expiration date, and the security code by hand every single time you want to make a purchase. This deliberate physical friction interrupts the algorithmic trance designed by retail engineers. Behavioral economists point to a simple, concrete rule that stops the fast trap of frictionless spending dead in its tracks. It is called the 24-hour rule. When you see a non-essential item you want to buy, you force yourself to wait one full calendar day. You must physically step away from the bright screen, close the browser tab, and walk out of the loud retail store. Time is the only proven weapon that can beat that fast manufactured dopamine rush firing in your brain. When you wait a full day, the neurochemical spell breaks. The sudden, overwhelming need to buy fades away as your prefrontal cortex regains control, leaving you with a clear, rational mind to see what you really want instead of what an algorithm suggested. This fight is fundamentally about taking back your own economic power. You can stop the silent, systematic drain of your money starting today by recognizing the trap. It is a deeply personal fight against the massive e-commerce companies, the targeted advertising networks, and the smart machines that operate tirelessly to keep your bank account drained. Every single time you say no to a fast, one-click purchase, you win a critical battle for your financial independence. You are no longer just a predictable consumer who buys targeted products without thinking. You transform into someone who actively guards their own future, protecting your hard-earned capital from the sophisticated marketing engines built to extract it. Taking back your daily financial choices changes absolutely everything about how you perceive the modern commercial world. You begin to see the invisible architecture of retail manipulation everywhere you look, from the layout of grocery store aisles to the targeted banner ads tracking your digital footprint across the internet. There is a deep, quiet power in actively choosing not to spend your capital. In a hyper-connected world that yells at you to buy more lifestyle upgrades every single second of the day, intentionally saving your money becomes an act of profound rebellion. It feels almost like a powerful secret you keep from the loud, heavily indebted crowd around you. It takes real psychological strength to sit in silence with the money you have earned and simply let it compound. You learn to find genuine peace in the functional items you already own, instead of constantly chasing the next new technological gadget or fashion trend. This quiet, deliberate choice builds an impenetrable financial wall around your life that no marketing trick can break. The relentless manufactured noise of the retail stores and the endless pinging of promotional emails finally fades away when you stand firm in that quiet space of financial discipline. You no longer feel the desperate, engineered urgency that drives the modern consumer economy forward at the expense of individual wealth. Then comes a feeling of deep, measurable relief as the mathematics of wealth finally work in your favor. You finally get to watch the balance in your high-yield savings account actually grow larger at the end of each month. The numbers stop falling to zero and start climbing steadily upward, dollar by dollar, building real momentum. You can feel a heavy, crushing weight lifting right off your chest as the anxiety of living paycheck to paycheck disappears. The tight, constant fear of running out of money before the month ends slowly melts away. In its place, a strong, unshakable sense of economic safety begins to take permanent root in your daily life. That growing pile of liquid capital becomes a literal shield against the hard, inevitable surprises of life. Whether it is a sudden medical bill, a major car repair, or an unexpected job loss, you have the exact resources required to handle the emergency without ever falling back into the trap of high-interest credit card debt. When the endless, exhausting loop of frictionless buying finally stops, something amazing happens to your income potential. You might get a 10% raise at work, but you deliberately keep your daily living expenses exactly the same. You do not finance a bigger car, sign a more expensive apartment lease, or buy a fancy watch just because you have more cash flowing in. Defeating lifestyle creep creates a wide, expanding space between what you earn and what you actually spend to survive. That growing financial gap is not just extra money sitting idle in a bank account gathering dust. That space represents pure, unfiltered freedom from the corporate systems that demand your constant participation. It is the absolute freedom to walk away from a toxic corporate job, escape a bad living situation, or relocate to a new city without asking for permission. When you control your spending, you buy the ultimate luxury, which is the ability to run directly toward the opportunities and the life you actually love. You wake up to the stark truth that you are no longer a consumer puppet dancing on a string pulled by retail algorithms. You can walk right through a giant big box store, entirely surrounded by bright sale signs and limited time offers, and feel absolutely nothing. You can scroll through your social media feeds and watch the highly targeted advertisements pass by like harmless ghosts. The cold, calculated grip of the consumer market has permanently lost its hold on your mind and your wallet. You stand firmly in the middle of all that digital and physical noise, completely safe from the friction traps, knowing your accumulating wealth is securely locked away where no algorithm, no marketer, and no corporation can ever touch it. Stepping away from that endless cycle of quick digital thrills leaves a sudden, shocking silence in its wake. The dopamine spikes engineered by Silicon Valley behavioral psychologists finally level out, replacing the frantic rush of one-click ordering with a profound, unfamiliar stillness. You are no longer bleeding capital through 1,000 tiny, invisible cuts. Picture a night where you finally sleep deeply, completely free from the heavy dread of money slipping away in the dark. You know exactly what sits in your checking account, and you know nothing is slowly draining it while you rest. There are no forgotten streaming subscriptions or hidden premium delivery fees quietly siphoning your hard-earned wages at 3 in the morning. That quiet peace fundamentally changes how you wake up the next morning. You no longer reach for your smartphone with a sinking feeling in your chest, terrified to open your banking app and confront an unexpected overdraft fee. Instead, you feel a deep, steady calm, knowing the wealth you traded your precious time to earn is finally staying with you, safe, compounding, and entirely untouched. But this new way of living creates a stark, undeniable divide between those who wake up and those who remain permanently trapped. Entire families who break the cycle begin to build real walls of financial safety, keeping their homes and futures secure against sudden disaster. They separate themselves entirely from a consumer class that remains dangerously exposed to the slightest economic breeze. This deliberate shift in daily habits does not just save a few incidental dollars a week. Over years and decades, it builds a massive, impenetrable shield of wealth, turning everyday people into quiet millionaires through the raw mathematical power of compound interest. Meanwhile, their high-earning neighbors still drown in hidden bills, suffocated by the very lifestyle they work so desperately to maintain. The human cost of the old way leaves deep, permanent scars on the families who never managed to break free. We see parents forced to work two grueling jobs well into their 70s, their bodies tired and their health failing, simply because invisible spending habits and compounding credit card interest ate away their entire life savings over the course of 40 years. Children watch this silent, grinding struggle from the shadows, learning to fear money instead of understanding how to strategically control it. The heavy, suffocating weight of revolving debt crushes the joy out of homes that should have been filled with hope and possibility. They internalize the hushed, panicked arguments over the monthly Visa bill taking place at the kitchen table. The undeniable proof of this hidden disaster sits quietly in national financial records, like the 2023 Federal Reserve reports showing millions of people with absolutely $0 saved for their old age. Across the country, bright, booming cities hide hundreds of thousands of empty bank accounts behind a glittering facade of shiny, leased luxury cars and expensive, financed designer clothes. These cold, hard numbers reveal a fractured society that eagerly bought the illusion of wealth, but tragically traded away its actual freedom. The shiny, curated surface of modern digital life successfully masks a fragile, hollow reality where a single medical emergency or one missed corporate paycheck is all it takes to bring about total, irreversible financial ruin. Looking back at the sprawling wreckage of lost generational wealth, a haunting question still hangs heavy in the air. Why do we keep trusting a sophisticated financial system that is clearly and systematically designed to take absolutely everything we have? The architecture of modern commerce was built by experts who know exactly how to bypass our logical defenses. Even when we clearly see the trap laid out before us, The glowing screens and frictionless, easy buttons still call out to our deepest impulses. We are left wondering if basic human nature can ever truly outsmart the powerful trillion-dollar algorithms and biometric payment machines built specifically to make us spend our money before we even have time to think. For those rare few who do manage to escape, the final result is a life completely and radically rewritten. They no longer need to ask a corporate manager for permission to take a single day off because their aggressively saved money buys them the ultimate uncompromised prize of total time freedom. Their wealth becomes a permanent barrier against corporate exploitation. This quiet, accumulated power fundamentally changes every choice they make, from the neighborhoods where they choose to live to the exact way they raise and educate their children. They have successfully built an invisible, impregnable fortress of index funds and liquid capital that no sudden corporate downsizing or devastating global market crash can easily tear down. Yet the long shadows of frictionless spending still claim thousands of new victims every single day. Young adults step out into the unforgiving real world and are instantly handed the exact same digital traps disguised as convenient buy now, pay later apps that completely ruined the financial futures of the generation that came before them. They swipe, tap, and double-click their screens, unknowingly trading away their future homes and peaceful retirements for cheap, viral items they will inevitably forget about in a week. The silent, relentless machine of consumer debt keeps running at full speed, feeding ravenously on the unearned wages of tomorrow to satisfy the fleeting impulses of today. The ultimate shape of our modern world is now being aggressively carved by this hidden, silent war over our daily dollars. Huge multinational companies build their endless, sprawling empires not from massive, deliberate sales, but from the tiny, forgotten digital charges and automated monthly renewals we simply fail to notice in the chaos of our busy lives. Our entire global economy leans heavily on this dark, unspoken truth, relying on millions of exhausted people to stay perpetually asleep at the financial wheel. The grand, towering skyscrapers in rich, bustling cities are built directly on the broken backs of our lost, quiet wealth, funded entirely by a middle class trapped on a treadmill of endless payments. As the glowing screen finally goes dark and the ultimate receipt of our lives is tallied, the greatest mystery still remains. Will you be the one who finally wakes up and breaks the vicious cycle? Or will you become just another silent, forgotten record in the long, tragic history of stolen futures and surrendered wealth? We still do not know if a mind trained by constant, easy buying can ever fully heal. The apps change how our brains work, rewarding us with tiny bursts of joy for every dollar we let go. Even when someone unplugs the system and stops the endless flow of boxes to their door, a quiet question remains. Will the deep urge to click and spend ever truly vanish? Or does it just hide in the shadows, waiting for a single moment of weakness? The true cost of this invisible trap is now carved into hard numbers. Across the country, the average age for stopping work keeps pushing further out of reach. People who earned great money their whole lives are finding their bank accounts empty when they need them most. The damage is permanent, written into the massive rise of credit card debt that now tops $1 trillion. This mountain of debt changed the rules of the game for everyone. Lenders built entirely new systems to trap missed payments and rolling interest, making it harder to ever break free. The frictionless spending machine did not just empty wallets in the moment. It built a permanent wall between millions of hard workers and the safe future they thought they were earning. Behind those massive numbers are the quiet tragedies of everyday families. Parents who worked 60 hours a week sit at empty kitchen tables, wondering where the years of good pay went. They look at rooms full of things they do not use, realizing those items cost them the chance to help their kids pay for school or save for a real crisis. The guilt weighs heavy in these silent homes. Marriages break under the stress of hidden bills and packages rushed inside before a partner sees. It is a slow, crushing pain, built not from one giant crime, but from thousands of tiny, easy choices that felt perfectly normal at the time. The world now runs on the assumption that you will spend before you think. Every store, every phone, and every smart device is built around this new law of fast money. The old idea that making a larger paycheck automatically brings safety is completely dead. In this new world, wealth is no longer about how much you earn, but how hard you fight to keep the machine from taking it back. In a quiet, dark room, a single phone rests on a nightstand. Its screen suddenly lights up with a midnight alert for a flash sale. For a few seconds, that bright trap waits in the dark for a thumb to press it, offering one more easy purchase that steals a little piece of tomorrow. But this time, no hand reaches out from the shadows. The screen slowly fades to black, leaving the room in total silence as a hidden future is quietly saved.